Yeah, I got you, Jorge. Don't worry.
All right.
Welcome, 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 all my great and illustrious people. The dish comes to you presented by the scene. I mean, listen, this is baseball for the people by the people. At the end of the day, man, we gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk about some baseball tonight, and more than anything, I got a great cast with me. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing going. I'm gonna start with my guy Tyrell. Holler at the people.
Well, welcome world to the dish. Second episode. It's baseball for everybody. And we're serving up hot, takes for you guys, hot plates all day. But I'm getting ready, to just dive in, say what I have to say about my teams and these new power rankings, and once again enjoy talking with my guys.
Next, my guy, Mr. Category 5 himself. Storms, talk to the people. Storms, you there?
Better?
Yes, yes, there we go.
Okay. All right. My bad. I was just saying, welcome to the dish, week 2. We had a really good week of baseball. Lots of movement up and down in the power rankings, as you'll see later. I'm excited to get to some of this breakdown, talk about some of these trades, and we got a good show. Stay tuned.
Hey, we about to bring some heat for y'all. Next, my guy, the kid who covers every sport, my guy Artie. Holla at the people.
What's going on? The scene. We're back. We were just here a few hours ago, but we're back already for some baseball. Just switching the sport up. I decided to talk some trades, a new top 10. We got it in store for you today.
And last but certainly not least, my guy Jorge, the guy who I know is a Mets fan and a Giants fan all in one. I know it's just, it's hard out here for a pimp. Hey, my guy Jorge, holler at the people.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be back. Like my guy said on here already, let's get to it. Let's talk some baseball. Let's talk about these trades and this power ranking that we got going. Let's do it.
All right. So we had, as Mr. Category 5 himself said, we had a great week of baseball. When I say a great week, we had a lot of shuffling that went down in our power rankings this week. We're gonna see some things. We had a really, really good debate about all of these teams for the most part. We really had a very in tune, like in depth and in tune, like just talk about each team, some of the directions, some of the things that happened from the trade deadline. And I can honestly tell you, like it is very, very, very big. Some of the moves that was made during this trade deadline. When we're gonna cover those as we go. But we're gonna start today with the power rankings. And I'm going to run down the top 10, and then I'm going to let all of my guys get in on the top 10 from what they thought and things like that. And then we're going to dive into the show more in depth with some trades. But our power rankings for the week 2 of the dish, we got number 1 at number 1, we have the LA Dodgers. Mr. Please himself. And then at number 2, we got the Tampa Bay Rays, who were on fire this week. They had a great week of baseball. Number 3, the Chicago White Sox, who also had a very, very good week of baseball. Number 4, the Oakland Raiders moving down from 2. They had a decent week. They just lost some games. It is what it is. You lose baseball games. Occasionally, you're going to lose series. Number 5, we have the San Diego Padres up one spot. Look, they acquired a pitcher. They're rebuilding the pitching staff. It should be interesting to see what happens. I'm gonna let Artie speak on that further because he had a very interesting theory. We got the Indians at 6. We debated this one. It's gonna be some interesting takes on this one. At 7, we got the Atlanta Braves. Number 8, we got the New York Yankees, who are a little hobbled right now by injury. But to still be a top 10 baseball team in a power rankings and you're not fully healthy is a testament to the depth of that team, which is going to be very, very interesting once they get back healthy. Chicago Cubs, they stay, at the number 9 spot. They didn't move. They didn't do anything to move up or anything to go down. And the Houston Astros are at 10. Did y'all hear what I said? The Houston Astros. And this was a big fight too. And you see the person who got the thumb up? Yeah, he was part of the reason why. And the Twins are out of the power ranking this week. They're the 11th team out. They had a tough week. They just had a tough week. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very intriguing. I think did they pull out the win yesterday against the White Sox, fellas? Didn't they pull out the win yesterday? The Twins?
They did.
And that's a good start to this week. So who knows where they may be next week in the power rankings. So with that being said, let's start with my guy Jorge. Jorge, top 10. Give me some of the things that you had to say about each individual team.
All right, so I'll start from the top. First off, I mean, the Dodgers, what else are we going to say? They're just the best team in baseball. I don't, there's not really many holes, if any, in that team. And they're just head and shoulders above everybody else at the moment. The Tampa Bay Rays at number 2. Man, they had a strong week. Played 6 games, won 6-0. And 4 of those wins were against the Yankees, their own division, man. That's a strong week. And, you got to be your division if you want to win the division crown. The White Sox, man, they seem to be getting better and better each week. Last week, they went 5-1, and they outscored their opponents in 6 games, 39-24. That's a strong team. And if their rotation comes around, they're gonna make some noise. At number 4, we have the A's. The A's had a tough week. Went 2-3, and they lost against the Texas and Houston, and they got swept by the Astros in a doubleheader. So that's why they actually dropped a little bit, and Houston got into the top 10. At 5, we got the Padres. More than anything, man, had a good team, and they added some really good pieces to the puzzle, which we're going to touch to that a little bit later. Number 6, we got the Indians. Like you were saying, this is something that we went back and forth on as far as where we're going to put them. Just to kind of give you a little idea of what they've been doing. And they went 4-3 this week. And in their 3 losses, they only scored 5 runs. And in their 4 wins, they only allowed 8 runs, which is telling you that their lineup is inconsistent, but their pitching, when it's there, it's on. And that's their strong suit. They've only allowed 104 runs this entire season, which is crazy. 7th, we got the Braves. Overall, they're 20-14. They lead the NL East. The only thing, the positive with them is that they went 4-2 this week, and they actually beat Garrett Cole for the first time in 20 starts of his. He had 27 starts in which he either won the game or had a no decision, and he won 20 of those. And they beat him for the first time since last year, May, which is outrageous. The Yankees, they're not healthy. That's about what I can say about them. And even though they're not healthy, they're still number 8, and they're 19-14. That's saying a lot. That's a good division. So we'll see where they end up next week. I'm sorry. At number 9, the Cubs. I mean, the reason why we left them at number 9 is because they didn't really do anything to move up, and none of the teams below them really did anything to move above them. So number 9 was good with us. And as far as this Astros, man, like I was telling these guys, they may have lost Garrett Cole, but they still have that lineup. The lineup is still potent, and they won 4 of 2 this past week. You got to give credit where it's due. They had a strong week. That rounds up my top 10 and what I got to say about them. Yeah.
Hey, Tyrell, so this time for you, what do you got for the top 10? Shouts out to Dennis King in the comments as well. Petty in the outfield zone. The dish is on. He's in the comments. He just said, fellas, he's here. So, hey, Tyrell, go ahead and holler at the people and give us your top 10 breakdown of what you thought about the top 10 this week.
All right, so I'm gonna reverse it, and I'm gonna actually go from the bottom on up. Now, the reason why I want to do this is because I gave them a hard time, and yes, as a Dodgers fan, I'll admit it. There's a huge bias with my decision making, but the reason being that the Astros got number 10 was after talking it over with these guys. You know, you have to call a spade and be honest. You know, they had a good week. You can't beat the A's and not, you know, get an honorable mention, especially with how high we had the A's last week, you know, I think at the 2 spot. So with that, I accepted it. I wanted to bring up how, you know, they had, you know, a tough, shaky series against the Angels, who I think are atrocious this season, but a win's a win and a loss is a loss. They still pulled off the series and still took it out, you know, it's best 2 out of 3. Albeit one of those was a doubleheader. So salute to, you know, the Astros making it in the top 10. My last shot at them is Altuve. Where are you at, man? MVP, and you playing like you just don't belong in the show. So I said it. I loved you, man, but you know, ever since the, you know, we know what, you know, happened, you know, as far as in the previous years. I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm gonna let that go. But where are you at right now? So let's move on to number 9 with the Cubs. The Cubs are an interesting squad, definitely. I like how they made, you know, some decent moves at the trade deadline. I just not sure if they're ready to take that next step into being consistent. And with the Cubs, that's always their issue is consistency. So we'll see, you know, next week if, you know, they want to do well with what they picked up and the piece they picked up, if they want to start, you know, actually hitting like, you know, a really good team and use that talent that they have, or are they just going to be the Cubs and, you know, come and go? And we'll see. But one thing they're consistent at being at is laying, you know, on the cusp. So that's the one thing I can give them right now. And they'll probably win, you know, their division. I definitely still see them as, you know, a team to beat in the National League, but let's talk about the NL Central. Like, it's not a, you know, difficult division to win right now. Let's be honest. So we move on up, you know, to number 8 with the Yankees. And like Jorge put it, you know, really well, like to be that hurt and, you know, losing your key guys on all fronts, hitting as well as pitching. They have some guys that are going to come back, but that's a scary thought. When you have, you know, Judge, who's expected to come back soon, you have Stanton, who's expected to come back soon. That's scary when you have to think about it. And I, you know, hope that their rotation holds up. I mean, like we talked about last week, you have Cole and then you have meh, and you have a great bullpen. So hopefully Boone, you know, can keep doing what he's doing as far as rallying the guys and just get healthy, New York. When you're healthy, you know, you're a very, you know, lethal team. You know, you made, you know, the ALCS last year. You beat a solid 100-win Twin team last season. So definitely New York, you know, you can definitely get back up there. With the Braves, another team that we just wonder, you know, momentum-wise, can they get hot? Momentum never seems to be on their side. They're steady, but with that, will they make a move? You have Miami that's slowly catching up to them, which is scary for me to even say. Like I said last week, it's a shocker. So if the Miami Marlins can catch you in your own division, what does that say about you, Atlanta? Does it say that you're for real in the NL? You could be. You could be one of the potential top 3 teams in the National League, but you got to play like it. Dodgers are there. Padres are there. Cubs are on your heels and the Marlins are on your heels. So what are you going to do? They have, you know, good talent. They just need, you know, to catch some magic. And week to week, it's just comes and it goes steady as far as high and low. So we'll move on to the Cleveland Indians now. Some would say that the Indians, you know, are a little bit too high. Case could be made. You just traded away, you know, one of your, you know, talented pitchers. You really didn't show up your offense in that trade. What is the Tribe doing? Who knows? But with that, you can't be the Tribe without, beating some of the best teams, which they did this past week. They beat the Twins, and you still have, great pitching. They're still to be feared there as far as pitching goes. I do believe when we talked last week, we've had them as far as one of the top bullpens, top 3 even last week. So that still stands. If you haven't really hurt yourself, as far as your record still intact at a nice 21-14 right now, which is very nice. And you're in the toughest division probably in baseball, yeah, you belong, because you have the White Sox and you also still have the Twins. So I can't slight them for that. With the Padres, great moves as far as the trade deadline. Very impressive that, they're going all in. You addressed, your weaknesses as far as your concerns with pitching. But one thing about the Padres, we have to be real. Like, can you live up to the hype when it comes to the postseason? And is Manny Machado going to show up in the postseason? Tatis is, doing it. But what about Manny? As a Dodger fan, it hurt that, in the postseason, he wasn't as, big and bright as I wanted him to be. But I like this young team, and we'll see if they're for real. I salute the Padres. So let's just see post-trade deadline how everybody meshes in. And then maybe they can go even higher, or maybe they drop. With the A's, unfortunately, you had a tough series that hurt you. You can't be the number 2 guy and, lose a tough series like you did, unfortunately. So they had to drop. It was justifiable. Maybe, they can pick it back up. I, do have faith that, in their division, they stand alone as far as, at the top. I mean, 22-12, looking pretty good. So maybe they, pick it back up after a rough week, but that's all it was for them to drop. It was just a rough week. And then you go up to the Chicago White Sox, who, everybody loves them. They're kind of like the team everybody likes to watch because they look good. They do everything great. And it's just an exciting time to be, a Chicago White Sox fan, apparently. And, they're making believers of everybody, doing things that, are rarely done. So you hit that many home runs as they do. You score as many runs as they do. You play small ball as well as they do, defensively as well as they are. Their pitching could be a little bit, better, but they're pretty much on their way to being the hottest team in baseball outside of your LA Dodgers. And that's no disrespect to the number 2 team with the Rays. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. The Rays have the Yankees number. I don't know what it is about, this season, but it's like if the Yankees can pull it together and be Superman again, the Rays are that kryptonite. It's just what it is. And are they for real? We'll see, because sometimes, the Rays can give us hope and then they blow it. We'll see. And then we'll round it up to, number 1 with the Dodgers. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Season-wise, you do well. Is this, finally our time to shine in the postseason? Who knows? I mean, it would have been nice, luxury-wise, to make a move for another, starting pitcher. We'll talk about, some of those, impacts later. But I'm happy where we're at as far as season-wise. It's just, of course, with this squad that's had so many opportunities in the postseason, can we bring the World Series back to LA?
Okay, so he went bottom to top because he wanted to make sure he rubbed in the Dodgers. Just real corny guy, real corny. With that being said, real quick to clarify something, the Twins actually end up dropping that game yesterday against the White Sox, 8-5. So moving forward, hey, I'm gonna go to you next. Did you have any notes from the top 10 this week? And let's go to you now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it a little bit different than how the other guys did it. Obviously, the audience, you guys know what our top 10 is. The first thing I want to take you guys into our production meeting, and we had a very, very long conversation about the Astros. A matter of fact, I had to turn my camera and mute my mic to go get information. And when I came back with the information, I came back with some heat, and it made Ty and Josh drop their problems with the Astros finally being in. And I get they don't have the bang, 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 bang no more, but they're playing good ball. They're playing good ball, and that can't be denied. So, the Astros, we had them at 11 last week. We said, hey, they're not playing it good against above 500 team. One of the teams they dropped 3 games to that were above 500, the A's. This weekend they beat them twice. That evens up that. But so I just wanted to put that in there real quick. As far as the rest of the list, I mean, it's like what these guys said, man. These teams have been playing good throughout the season. This is a sample of the best teams throughout and then how hot they've been in the last week or so. We've seen the Twins fall out, and that the Twins have lost 6 straight games. I mean, I feel like that's very justified. You can't lose 6 straight games. You're not going to win a series losing, 6 straight games, or you're not going to win a series losing 6 straight games. You're going to lose a lot of series playing ball the way they've been playing ball. So, they fell out, and good reason for that. But on top of that, San Diego is the intriguing team here in the major leagues. They made a lot of deals yesterday. Like Germ said, I have some theories about that we'll get to a little bit later about what they did and how will it benefit them or maybe not benefit them or keep them exactly the same is yet to be seen. But I have a little bit of a theory about what the San Diego Padres are doing now and what they're going to try to do over the next few years. Again, another team I'd like to shout out. The Rays have been playing good ball. As Ty said, they have the Yankees number. He said he doesn't know why. I know why. Their pitching just neutralizes the Yankees offense. They got their first quality start yesterday and the whole season. It was against the Yankees. It's a high-powered offense, and yes, they're injured, but even when they weren't injured, the Rays still had their number. So I think the Rays pitching, the matchup with the Rays and Yankees, the pitching just benefits the Rays so much so that it's hard for the Yankees to win a game against them. The White Sox, probably a lot of people's sleeper team in the beginning of the year, but they're turning into a World Series contending team, what they're looking like talent-wise. They're outright in first place now after the Indians lost yesterday and after the Twins have slid down the rankings and slid down the standings. Now the White Sox own the lead in the Central. And I believe they own the lead in the American League in terms of record. If not, they're tied with the Rays. They're pretty close there. The Indians, again, another team with a lot of debate. You could put them under the Braves. I don't see them. They're not going any higher than 6. They're either 6 or below. So I would like to get that out of the way. And the Cubs, yes, they stayed at 9, but the Cubs haven't been playing. They've been playing average baseball. I mean, decent baseball. And they stayed at 9 just because of the movement of the rest of the list. If had the rest of the list stayed consistent and the Astros did what they did last week, I think the Cubs may be out of the list. But since the Twins fell all the way down, the Astros were still on the edge. That's what's keeping the Cubs in the list right now. And that's about it. That's about it for me in the list.
Mr. Category 5 himself. You're on mute, my guy. Mr. Category 5. You're on Category 0 right now.
That's strike 2. All right. So going last, these guys hit on a lot of my talking points, but for the Dodgers, like Jorge said, when you got a clear-cut number 1, unless they just play a horrible week of baseball. Matter of fact, I don't think the Dodgers are going to vacate that top spot all year, personally. But going down to number 2 and 3 with the Rays and White Sox. Somebody mentioned that the White Sox outscored their opponents by 15 in the last week. The Rays have been bashing the hell out of the ball too. Plus 16 runs, plus 15 hits in the last week. Also 6-0. With the A's, like Ty said, they had a rough week. They are alone at the top of their division. I think they'll stick around on the top 10 until they disappear in the ALDS like every year. The Padres are on and off the field now that the Clevenger trade has gone through, the most exciting team in baseball, in my opinion. That Clevenger trade, also they got a lot for. It depends on how you look at it. The Indians got, and we'll get into more detail with this later, but the Indians got 4 different prospects and a couple of major leaguers out of it. The Padres got some bench depth in the outfield with Greg Allen. I think there was a player to be named later in there too, wasn't there? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Adding Clevenger though is only probably going to move them up the list in the coming weeks. I think that the Padres have a real shot at playing into November. So moving on to the Indians. The Indians pitching. They just got rid of Clevenger, but they still have what should continue to be one of the most elite rotations in baseball. Same thing we saw last year. They traded Bauer at the deadline and didn't miss a beat. What else? The Braves have also shown flashes of being a legit World Series contender. They scored 32 runs in the last 6 games, which is insane. And Ian Anderson was phenomenal in his first start. Got a win against Garrett Cole. He went 6 innings, only gave up a hit and a run, 6 Ks and 2 walks.
And that was Cole's first loss too this year.
Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a debut. That was a debut, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah. I don't really have much different on the Yankees either. Judge, Stanton, Hicks, Torres, and LeMahieu's still on the injured list, right? Or is he back?
I think they're also on the injury list. Yeah.
Yeah. They should work their way back up the list if and when they get healthy. The Cubs just kind of stagnant. They didn't show anything better or worse. They dropped a few games to the Tigers and Reds. The one thing that really concerned me though is giving up 17 runs in 3 games to the Detroit Tigers. That, one series isn't a terrible thing in itself, but that's something that cannot happen if you want to make any noise at all in the playoffs. The Astros, honorable mention last week. That was mainly because we're mad at them and because they when we made the rankings last week, at the time they were 0-8 against teams who were above 500. They got a couple wins against the A's, and some other teams have improved their records since. Now they're 6-8 against those above 500 teams. So that's what moves them up. That and like Artie said, the Twins dropping 6 in a row drops them out of the top 10.
By the way, DJ is actually back.
Is he?
I got some information that said he homered twice tonight.
Yep, 2 for 4, 2 homers, 2 RBIs. Hicks is also in the lineup. He's 1 for 4. And I think those were all of the players that you said. So yeah, they got LeMahieu, they got Hicks back.
Okay.
And they're in the top of the 9th, 3 outs away from finally beating the Rays.
Oh, and the Twins are also, not only did they lose 6 in a row, but they're down 2-0 to the White Sox right now.
Right.
So they can lose 2 in a row to the Twins. To the White Sox, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which would make it 7 in a row total. But anyways, guys, is Zach, you got anything else? Or not Zach, Josh. Why did I called Zach Josh yesterday too.
No, that's all I got on the top 10. That
all
hasn't
right.
already been gone over 3 times.
Right. So as you guys can see, obviously our top 10, there was a lot of debate. We took you into the production meeting right there. We let you guys know everybody's thoughts and feelings about it. We all know that Ty's still salty about what's going on, but we're going to go out to Ty. We're going to, hopefully he can give us some good information. And why did the Dodgers, obviously they excel in every way possible, but they were in talks to grab Lynn in a trade yesterday from the Rangers. Why do you think they did not pull the strings on that and say, hey, we need this guy, add depth, add maybe another good starter? What's going on, Ty? What's going on in LA?
So here's the thing. Like I said earlier, when I was going over the top 10, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's not like the Dodgers needed starting pitching. It just would have been an added bonus or a luxury. Because if you break down the rotation right now, of course, you have Kershaw, your ace. You have, Bueller, who's supposed to be, your 2 guy. But after that, you had guys like Reyes, Stripling, who were a little bit so it would have been nice to shore up somebody like a Lance Lynn, who's, the only bright spot for the Rangers right now, and who has, a good favorable contract. It's set to expire, he's at $8 million. So he would have been great for any contending team to take him on. The problem with that is leverage. And when you're the Rangers and you have something that a contender wants, you use your leverage. And probably there was a disagreement probably with prospects, because we do know the Dodgers have a great farm system. They were aggressive in their approach, and a deal was supposed to be done. But at the end of the day, just couldn't agree on what those prospects were, because you have the Rangers wanting, not to add just volume and just to add numbers. They want to add talent that can make an impact right now. It's kind of like what happened last season. Even though Minor was just traded, last season, the same thing happened with Minor when they were trying to ship him off last year. As far as teams were making calls, GMs were doing their thing, and the Rangers was like, well, what do you got for me? And other teams were like, well, we have this, that, and the third. And the Rangers will respond, well, I want the 4th and the 5th with that too. So you can't have, your cake and eat it too sometimes. And that's the problem, when you have a high price tag and you use that leverage. With that, Stripling's gone because he was, he struggled this year. And we did bring in another righty, but it's not, who we wanted. And it's somebody that, would have been nice to have, considering, like Lance Lynn's in his 30s, with 32, I think, and that $8 million. So it would have been like, just a nice loan per se, a give me. But when you're the best team in baseball right now, you can afford to, really think about it and say, do we need to make a move, or do we just stay the course? And come postseason, we'll know if we should have made that move.
Right.
Let me just say this.
Right,
You keep on talking, man. They ain't got no good farm system. They don't be winning nothing. No, I'm just playing. No, but quick question, Ty. Before I pass it back to Artie, do you feel like these moves are gonna prime them to be able to make a deeper push this year? Because I look at the moves and I don't. Okay, let me say it like this: if Kershaw gives you consistency going into the postseason this year, right? And he's giving you for sure the one game that you know for sure when he takes the mound, you're going to take those 2 games or those 3 games potentially. Is it going to be big, or is it going to be more important that they have the second guy, which could be Bueller in this situation, at least be able to guarantee you 1 game in a series and 2 starts?
It would be nice, but here's the thing. More than before, we had the meltdown against the Nationals last season, and then of course the Red Sox before. We took the Astros to 7 games, and we know what happened in that series. So it's not as though we can't guarantee that we would get a guy like Lance Lynn and it could make things better as far as a chance to win. I mean, yes, you look at the season he's having, and the numbers are outrageous and pretty good for this guy, but look at the season before. He was just a decent pitcher. So when you want to make a move, you also risk that it blows up in your face. Maybe he doesn't mesh well to a new ballpark. Maybe he loses his his stuff. Maybe he doesn't mesh well with the other guys in the ball club. Maybe he doesn't mesh well with the catcher, and have that chemistry that he's maybe having with the Rangers right now. There's a lot of factors that people don't think about when it comes to pitching. It's one of the hardest, positions in sports, not just, baseball, but in sports. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm not going to downplay that Lance Lynn is, having a great season, but let's not pretend like he was, going to be the glue or going to be the ace that, ensure, a Dodgers victory in the postseason, because momentum means everything. Your bats and getting runs, across, the plate, means everything. The times where we did struggle, yes, we blew it. And I feel bad for Kershaw as far as how it happened, but let's not pretend that, the Dodgers didn't leave, runs on the table. Let's not pretend that there were some brutal errors that happened in some key moments. And that's all of that, factors into winning a baseball game.
Ty, I'm going to tell you this one time, and I want you to forget that I said this after I say it. You're right. Okay? You're right. You laid those points out amazingly.
Thank you.
But when you go to sleep tonight and you wake up tomorrow, forget that I said that. Do not go to YouTube and do not take that snippet. Don't worry about it anymore. But Ty has some good points. This is a year. And by the way, Kendall Williams is a prospect that the Dodgers got back for Stripling. And he's a 6'6" right-hander that has a lot of upside. 1.13 ERA, only pitched 16 innings, but had like 19 strikeouts in the minor leagues last year. He's got tremendous upside. But this is the year, as Ty said, where these teams that are looking to rebuild can catch a team in desperation mode and bring a lot of pieces back in. And one of those teams that really hit on that was Cleveland. Cleveland knew San Diego was like, hey, man, we gotta make a run at this. They were in desperation mode. A reminder to all the audience, this is the first week of May in a regular season. It's not anywhere near a normal trade deadline. This is a desperation trade deadline, and the Padres were desperate. So I want to kick it out to Josh on that trade with the Padres and the Indians, where the Indians collected a bunch of stuff for Clevenger, and give us a little bit of the specifics on that trade and how you feel about it, and which side do you think it was good for? If it was good for both sides, kind of explain that, Josh.
Yeah, I don't think there's a loser in this trade, really. When you look at long term, the Indians got so they got Cal Quantrill, who is a right-handed pitcher. He was a 2016 first-round pick for the Padres. They got a lefty, Joey Cantillo. He was – can't read my own writing.
So you write with your feet too, huh?
Hey.
I write with whatever's available. I don't know. He was picked in 2017. I can't tell which round I said it was.
Blame the fat tire category. Blame the fat tire.
We'll go with that. They also got a shortstop, a single A shortstop prospect in Gabriel Arias. Owen Miller, who's an infielder. He was a third-round pick in 2018 as well. He's been playing Double-A ball recently. They got Josh Naylor and Austin Hedges, which Hedges, he was playing a lot for the Padres. He's not had a great year at the plate. He's batting, I think, close to 170. Minimal RBIs, I think something in the single digits still. They did also trade for a guy, catcher Austin Nola from the Mariners to replace him. But with Clevenger, so for the Indians, this is a salary dump. And also it's very similar, like I said before, with Bauer. They were able to dump some salary and improve several different areas of the club at the same time. Clevenger is going to be in arbitration this year, next year, and the following year. So his salary is going to go up, and it's not necessarily going to be 100% in the Padres' control. So that's a good move on the Indians' part, especially considering how good the rest of their pitching is. like I said, he added the cutter this year. He added the cut fastball a few weeks ago, and it already accounts for 6.8% of the pitches he's thrown this year. So that shows that it's a pitch that he's got a lot of confidence in. That gives him 5 good pitches. And this is a guy who's already been playing ace level baseball for the last 3-4 years since the end of his rookie season. I think that he is, outside of Garrett Cole, probably the best pitcher in baseball right now. And I think that the Padres, definitely in the short term, they're the huge immediate winner of this trade. But the Indians got a lot of future pieces to go with it. And Josh Naylor, he's been all right. He's hitting 270. He's not driving in a lot of runs, but I mean, he's been kind of just a little bit above average in that department. He's not necessarily, I don't know. You guys think that he'll take over for what's his name? DeShields?
He could. I mean, because DeShields is not good at the plate. He's not been doing anything at the plate. So, I mean, if you can get a guy who, if you don't drop off on the defensive side of it, and you get a guy who can come in and at least, occupy occupy defensively, and you got a 271 hitter that comes in and helps. I mean, they need bats right now. They need anybody who can hit the damn ball right now.
Well, that's what I thought too. And I looked at DeShields, and I was surprised. Maybe I looked at the wrong thing. I thought I saw he was at 260. That surprised me because I thought he was he's not that good a hitter.
Yeah, but the thing is too, like, he'll have stretches where he'll play okay, and then it's consistency. Maybe the consistency, maybe him being a little bit more of being an everyday player in baseball is a talent in itself. How many guys do you trust consistently? And from a consistency point, are we going to say he's talented enough to play every single day? I don't know if he's talented enough to play every single day. I think you can play him. Let's say it's a shortened season, and it still doesn't look like he's going. Let's say he plays 60 to 80 games a year. I mean, that's just what I think about him. But overall, what I was going to say, something interesting that you said about Clevenger. There are people like Jason DeGrom right now who made it a category 10 because they just threw everything up in the air. They just knocked everything over when you said that Clevenger was top 2 in baseball. And you said that Cole what? Are you serious?
As soon as you first mentioned his name, I went, oh yeah, my bad.
Because Jorge just turned his camera off too. You know he was throwing stuff.
Now I'm gonna ask this question though, Storm.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Clevenger is actually, like, you feel like he's ace level material? Is it because he has the pitches, or is it because he has 4 or 5 pitches, or is it because you just think that he has what it takes to be a consistent A-level pitcher moving forward, being that he's only 26 or something like that? Is he like 26, y'all?
That sounds right. 26, 20, maybe 25.
I know he's between 25 and 26. But regardless, do you think it's just like, you think he just has a lot of upside and things of that nature? I mean, give me your thoughts about Clevenger, because that's the key piece in this trade. More than Naylor, more than anybody else, if Clevenger turns out to be half of what you just said, bro, dog.
Clevenger is actually 29.
Really?
Oh.
29 years old.
Jeez. But go ahead, Storm. I'm gonna let you answer that question. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. For me, I think that I think adding the cutter gives him a different dynamic. We talked about this a little bit before we went live. What I love about a pitcher that has a good cutter and a good slider is they are almost the same pitch, but you've got about anywhere between a 5 and 8 to 9 mile an hour difference between the two pitches. Cutter is going to move a little bit less. It's going to be, obviously, it's the faster of the two pitches, but they look very, very similar coming out of the pitcher's hand. And so if you got a guy in say an 0-2 count, and you've already come at him with 2 four seams, he's going to be expecting you to waste a pitch. He's going to expect an off speed, and you throw that cutter low and away, and he can't catch up to it. I mean, that's something that he didn't have until 3 weeks ago, and he was already, we'll say, one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last 3.5 seasons. And not only that, I think you're seeing more of a he's going after hitters a lot more this year. He's going after hitters early in the count. And that cutter's only going to help him do that too. You throw another fastball in there. That's another early count pitch he can use to go after guys. And not only these guys that are watching the scouting reports on him and film and all that, you go in there and you see an early count fastball, maybe low and what looks like just catching the outside corner of the strike or of the strike zone, and now it's a cutter tailing away. It's going to take a minute for guys to adjust to that because they've been looking at 3 years of film on this guy with no cutter.
And to kind of go off of what Storms is saying, it takes these pitchers years to perfect these pitches. And he's perfecting it not perfecting it, but using it in his last couple of starts. And if he's able to use that as another weapon, a cutter, think back to Mariano Rivera. If he can use it like that and get it up and in to where he can break some bats and, have them looking inside and up, that completely changes everything because, like Storms is saying, he can attack the cutter up and in or down and away, and then he could throw the slider to even break more away from a right-handed batter on the outer side of the plate. And the batter's going to be confused. That'll be huge if he's able to use that pitch and use it successfully. Because we know as well, a cutter, if you don't know how to throw it well, it just looks like a hanging breaking ball.
Now, here's some interesting stuff I want to talk to y'all about. His career, so I'm gonna ask you this: what ERA would you say as a pitcher that you say is acceptable for a guy that's getting better? Like, if a guy had a 4 ERA, would you be like, hey, he has a chance as long as he's adding pitches, he's perfecting his craft and things of that nature? Would y'all say, hey, he got potential to give me 5 good years at, A, B+ level?
Yeah.
Well, watch this. Clevenger's overall ERA for his career is like 3.02 or something like that. It's like 3.04,
of course, right?
Yeah, and he's only got, let me see, he only got 1 year, I think, over 3. No, not over 3. But it's like 1 year over like 350 or something like that I was seeing. And it was
rookie year.
Rookie year, it was like 519.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this on the top of my head, y'all, but we can get those numbers exactly for you. But I'm gonna give you some information I do have right here. Combined over the last 2 seasons, Clevenger is 26-12 with a 2.90 ERA. All right, that is the third lowest in ERA. Third lowest in ERA in the AL, the 6th lowest in the MLB over that span. And is it? Let's see. Yeah, that's the third lowest in the AL. Now he's going to the National League, which that makes him the 6th lowest in the MLB. So that's interesting to see. Like Storm said, if Storm said he's like, hey, he got pitches now, and he's adding stuff as he goes. At 29, we can get 5-6 year good years out of Clevenger, and this could be a trade that could turn around a franchise potentially because it could give them an ace pitcher. So this should be interesting. Shouts out to Dennis King for that stat.
Yeah, go ahead.
ERA 5.26 his first year, and the other years the highest he went was 3.18, which is this year, and then 3.11, 3.02, 2.71. 5.26 his first year, and he also only pitched 53 innings that year, so it's not like he pitched the whole year.
And he was in the bullpen.
Yeah, he had 7 relief appearances too. No, what I was going to say is, look at it this way. You're talking about a guy who's already 10 strikeouts per 9 for his career, and at 3.5 walks, that's just under 3 strikeouts per walk, and now this guy has another weapon. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, and to kind of touch on his age, he's 29, but in baseball, you really master the craft of pitching when you're in between the ages of 28 to like 33. So his best years are still ahead of him. Unless you're actually a phenom coming out of, AAA, then, you make it into the bigs early. But other than that, you're really mastering your craft at 28, 29 to like, 34, 33, about that age.
Westrick asked a question in the chat. He actually said he's 29 though, and never been a team's number one. Y'all really that sold on him?
This
Ty
is
said
where I
he's
come in.
not. Ty
This
said
is where I
he's
come in.
not. So let Ty get in on this, and then Artie, go ahead.
Okay, so I like the kid. He has some stuff. I mean, great fastball, nice curve, but
Man, better than Kershaw though.
you know what, Jerm? Zip it. But here we go. So this is why it was a savvy move, very savvy. So you have he has 2 years left on his contract, right? So if you're the Padres, you're banking that he's going to play out of his mind because he wants to get paid come arbitration. Whereas if you're the Indians, you're like, this is what we've had so far. I don't think it's going to get any better. I mean, yes, he's, in a elite class of pitchers, but an ace? No. And this is where that whole savviness comes to play as far as, okay, if you're the Padres, you just double down on him trying to ball out of his mind for the money. Whereas if you're the Indians, you're like, okay, well, this is the best we're going to get out of him. We really could use some other tools. We know in 2 years we're not going to pay the guy, so why not let him go?
Right. And that's where it comes down to is the Padres are hoping on him to be their ace for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. And I know we talked a lot about Clevenger here. I want to give just a quick little thing here. Joey Cantillo, he's an A-level pitcher last year, and he pitched 98 innings and had a 1.93 ERA. He's heading to Cleveland's minor league system. Owen Miller, the shortstop, he was a Double-A when he was in Double-A last year. He had 560 plate appearances and he hit 290. He's headed to Cleveland's minor league system. And Gabriel Arias, the other guy heading to Cleveland's minor league system, last year he was on the A+ team, and he had 511 plate appearances and hit 302 with 17 home runs. So that's a little bit of what's going to Cleveland. I know the big obviously news is, we talk about the MLB. Clevenger is obviously already in the MLB and he's making an impact. And again, the Padres are hoping, and I'm hoping he can be their ace and take out the Dodgers, but that's neither here or there. And
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many true aces are there in the league? Dennis King said 5 to 7, and he's asking.
Oh man.
So this is y'all see why I want to get into pitching more, because this is a really good question.
That is a good one.
That is a good question.
So we got DeGrom.
Mm.
Right? We all agree that he's an ace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who we got? Kershaw.
Bieber.
Do we all agree he's an ace?
Okay, so DeGrom, Kershaw, Scherzer. Just say, if anybody has to say no, just say no. DeGrom, Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander, Cole, Strasburg, Bieber right now. So
can we
so
say
we're at
he's an ace
7.
yet, though? Like, what's the time frame on being an ace? How do we determine a guy being an ace? Because, okay, for example, DeGrom is at that stage now, right, where DeGrom has been consistent for at least a 4 or 5 year span, right?
Mm.
Bieber is in his 3rd season. So as well as he's pitched, don't get me wrong, he's pitched like an ace, like an A+ ace at that. Like the man, like I said, he's striking out like 40% of his batters. That's stupid. But what I'm saying is overall, like, what's the time frame on us to say this. Kirkshaw's been doing this at a high level for a long time. Like
Yeah.
Kershaw is one of those pitchers that had 300 strikeouts in the season, 301 to be exact. Like DeGrom is ERA is at 2 something. Like that's crazy for us to think of like an 8-year stretch at 2 something. And I think his highest year was what was his highest year? Was it like 3 something?
353 off the top of my head. 353.
And his lowest is at one was a 170 off the
Yeah.
top of my head. Like that's stupid. Like who does this? So
And
this is interesting.
that's where that's a good conversation to be had, where it's like, how many years do you need to put into this to say, hey, okay, yeah, he's an ace and he's an ace, you know? But again, DeGrom, Scherzer, Verlander, Kershaw, Strasburg. I would, me myself, Cole, obviously, me myself, I would say if we're going right now and how they're pitching right now, it'll be a little bit different. But if we're going right now and then think about how they pitched, you know, in years past as well, I think Bieber should make the list. Another one that may make the list is
2 more
what's
for
his
you when
name?
you get done.
Flaherty from St. Louis. He's pitched well over the last few years, and Giolito, which he's a younger guy, but he was in the Cy Young conversation for the American League last year. So Giolito could be another one. So really at tops, maybe 10.
Westersteg, Naylor, and Hedges.
Here's a guy I'll throw out there. If he comes back from, you know, the long injury layoff, Kluber. What about Kluber?
Kluber. Yeah, that's another one. So you have at, you know, at max.
Yeah, we're
I
doing
can see,
we're doing a debate
max-
show on this for sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, at max I can see about 15. There's definitely 7. But I can see it argued all the way up to maybe 15 guys. You know, from 7 to 15 is the range. But there's most definitely 7. There's definitely maybe 7 guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame that are pitchers right now. So I don't know. Is that what we call an ace, a Hall of Famer? Like, it's a lot to think about. That will be in our production meeting next week, and that's going to be on our show next Tuesday. That's for sure.
It may be
Thank you,
before
Dennis
that.
King.
It may be
We're
before
about
that.
to do some fighting.
Storm. I want to
Hold
get
up.
you in on this in 1 second, Storm.
All right.
I want to get you in now on the no right now. How do you classify an ace opposed to a B+ pitcher? Because I think we have to separate the two, and I think we should do it now. I mean,
Right.
what else do we have on the itinerary? One other topic? Let's go.
Let's go.
Cool. I was gonna say I wanted to throw this in before we got off the topic. When I should be more clear on this. When I said that Clevenger has been playing ace level baseball for the last few years, that was more like this guy could be a number 1 in a different rotation. Is more what I was, the ace role is more what I was talking about with that. But you're talking about ace pitchers. How do I differentiate ace level from the second tier? I think that an ace level pitcher has got to be a guy that is
We're
trying
all
to think
stuck.
about how I want to say this. I know. I'm trying to think of how to, like, something to say that's not just gonna make everyone go, yeah, well, no, duh.
I got you.
Like it's got to
I
be
got
a
you.
dominant guy. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. I got you, Josh. And I'll throw out a couple of things here that I'm thinking. One thing that I think is important, and in this day and age, in this game, it's not that we see the Tampa Bay Rays that don't pitch many innings, and you can say, hey, you know, they got a couple of guys there that are ace worthy, but somebody that's got to give you innings. And when I say innings, I mean 7, 8 can complete a game. And that's where you have
that's important.
the DeGroms. That's where you have Kershaw. That's where you have Scherzer, Strasburg, Verlander, Cole. Those are guys that they have to give you innings. They have to give you innings consistently. I would say 7 at minimum. 7
Okay,
at
well,
minimum.
That's a
Bieber-
good point because
Bieber is not giving you. No. I know you get right back in. Bieber's not consistently giving you 7. He's only on the average giving you 6 2/3.
But here's the
Right.
thing with that: they have a good bullpen that can close the door for them. Not a lot of aces. Let's say, for instance, DeGrom is one. We've been through this several times. He doesn't have that luxury of the pen to where he can say, "Hey, I'm getting out in the 7th inning, and I'm still going to win this ball."
Right. So if DeGrom played with the Indians, I mean, obviously the Indians blew the game yesterday, but if DeGrom played with the Indians, we may see a reduction in DeGrom's innings pitched just because they have somebody else they can go to. So that is a good, interesting there. That's why I said the thing about Tampa Bay. I mean, you could say the way Blake Snell was pitching a couple years ago, you could be like, oh God, this guy is an ace. This guy is a for sure ace. And you look at, he's giving you what, 5 2/3, 5 1/3, 6 innings. And you're like, man, this guy doesn't even have any quality starts. How can you say he's an ace? But they don't do that in Tampa Bay. So it's kind of like, it just depends on the team. But innings, ERA. I mean, ERA is a standard, I think. Where do you guys believe is the line where you say, okay, this guy is ace level ERA? Where is that at? You know, I think that's an important conversation to be had too. The ERA, I would say what, you know, ace level 2.5,
Yeah,
I say 2.3.
2.3.
To be honest, yeah.
I got the 2.3, but I would just say it like this. What's the difference between the 2.3 and the 2.5? For you, Jorge, and I'm asking for you.
What do you mean, like as far as allowing runs and numbers, or
It's basically in the numbers, because I feel like in baseball we know the numbers mean a little bit more, right?
yeah?
But what's the difference? What's the actual difference between the 2.3 and the 2.5?
That's a couple of runs a ball game. If it's a full season, that's a couple of runs a ball game. That could be huge. That's between allowing either 2 runs a game to 4. You know, about that. That's about the difference. I mean, if you're getting a full year, 30 plus starts, that's a huge difference. That'll probably even take you out of a young race if you're a ace. You know, 2 runs is huge. But what I want to get to is let's say our teams or the side or the aces, we want to put them in the wild card game. You know, that one game that you know you have to put them in, and your ace has to throw some innings and, you know, go deep into the game. Who are you going to put in that game? There's
Right. And
select few that you're going to put in that game.
here,
Well-
I want to shift. Just 1 second. I'll get you right in, Josh. I just want to point this out right here because I think the 2.5 might be a little too you know, I think we might have to raise that up a little bit because I'm looking here now. This is for the career.
I was gonna say 2.65. I just shut up when y'all said lower.
This is we got to keep this in mind here too. This is for a career, and all of these guys can be aces. Clayton Kershaw for his career is a 2.43. DeGrom is a 2.59. Chris Sale is a 3.026. That's an ace. That could be a Hall of Fame pitcher. Max Scherzer, 3.206. Steven Strasburg, 3.192. Bumgarner, 3.188. Verlander, 3.328. You know, Adam Wainwright, who's been pitching since I've been born, 3.377. You know, these are guys that Cole Hamels was an ace at one point, 3.420. King Felix, 3.419. This
This is why this needs
aces.
its own show.
These are aces, and these guys
This is
for
beautiful
career
content.
are you know, these guys for career are 3.4. They're around 3.4. So, you know, I think that through your prime years, and we're gonna have to define that too. That's gonna be another debate. But through your prime years, maybe you have to give us a 2.3 to a 2.5. But through your career,
Exactly.
you have a 3.3, a 3.4, a 3.5 can solidify.
I think
you
that's
as
fair.
an ace.
I
As long
think-
as
Okay,
in your
let me
prime
get in
years.
here.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ty. Go get in there.
Let me get in here because you guys are bringing up good points, and this is why it's a debate. And I'm going to ride with my guy Zach Westwick on this because we are talking the talk. But let's be real about Clevenger. He's 29, right?
Yep.
How many times has he reached? And I'm not saying, you know, innings pitch is the definitive like end all for an ace, but you compare like those names you mentioned, the Felix Hernandez, the Kershaws, all the aces we mentioned, the Groms. Look at how many times they pitched, over 200 innings or
200
got
innings
close
a year. Yeah.
a season. And Clevenger's only done it once, and he's 29.
Yeah,
One
and
time.
the one time that he pitched 200 or more, it was exactly 200 innings pitched.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now,
So
let me ask you a
And this is his 5th season, and he's at 523 and a third. That's almost 40% of his innings pitched was in that one season.
You know what though? He's been a 3rd or a 4th starter that whole time. The
Correct.
other guys you're mentioning are going every 5th day, and they're getting. I mean, that's a big difference too. Those guys are.
Automatically. Yeah.
Watch this.
Your first starter is going to probably get just on average 30, 40 more innings than your 3rd or 4th guy.
Watch
Right.
this. This is about to be fun. I'm about to have some fun with this. Y'all in my wheelhouse now because I was prepared for this conversation. Watch this. Clevenger actually. What year did Clevenger come out the bullpen?
His rookie year only.
Rookie year.
So was
There
that
actually
16?
there was a
16, yep.
stretch. There was a stretch in which he actually still was in the bullpen until a certain point in the season, though. He didn't just convert.
Yeah, I think
the
his
following
first
year.
7 appearances were out of the bullpen, and then he went to starter.
So again, we're talking about a guy who was on a staff with Kluber, who was the number 1, and Carrasco, who was the number 2. So he rose up the ranks and pitched more. He was
And
actually
Bauer.
the 4th or 5th guy. He was the 4th or 5th guy. So this is why this guy has a chance, technically, to actually be a little bit better than what you may advertise, because his arm is a little bit more preserved over the time frame of him being the 5th pitcher for the Indians, who, as we just acknowledged, got rid of Kluber. They got rid of. They still got Carrasco. They got rid of Kluber. They got rid of a lot of these other guys that they had. They got rid of Bauer. They've gotten rid of so many pitchers over these last few years that it's almost hard for you to argue against this dude.
Not
Ty,
for
I
me.
got to do it again. I have to do it again, Ty. I agree with Ty again. I agree with Ty again. Damn it. But
I
hey,
quit.
Ty, you make a good point. I mean, this guy, Kluber, Clevenger, as good as he is and he can be, he's only, and that's the thing. He started off as a bullpen pitcher. He converted to a starting pitcher, and yes, he can give you some length. Yeah, he could be a long reliever too, but this guy is only giving you 5 to 6 innings. Can you call that an ace? That's just the thing. And yeah, he might be better than advertised, and he might give you a good 5-6 innings. But I don't know if you can really call that an ace in terms of like, man, when we think of ace, just historically, like he's not going to be the guy in the playoff game that can go toe to toe with Max Scherzer. You just can't do it with him because you have to take him out after 6. There's a certain amount of pitches he can throw, in terms of total pitches in the game.
Hey,
So
man,
I have to agree.
That is a
don't
good
get too
point.
happy.
But let
Don't
me
get too happy. Go
counter
ahead,
this.
Jorge. We about to break y'all down.
But let me counter this. You just said he's been going 5 to 6 innings and he can't go to toe with Ace. How do we know that? They've had a pen to where he didn't need to go 6-7 innings. Now he's put in the position to where he can be put in that ace role and tell him, hey, go get it. We have the offense behind us to where you can allow those 3 runs and we'll still get a W. There's not that pressure put on him to where he has to keep the runs down in a game because the offense isn't swinging, isn't hitting. This
Right,
offense
and
is on fire.
Right, and I think that is a good point, that he does have a good bullpen behind him, but it's not like this year for sure. Yeah, that's a good point, but that doesn't mean that Cleveland is not. They haven't always had their bullpen wasn't as good as it was this year. It wasn't that as good last year. So
Yeah, and he was,
But
and
a
he
couple
was,
of years ago, it was better than it was this year, though.
but let me tell you
That is
something.
true.
Last year he was 13-4
Right,
without a good pen. And the year before he was 13-8, which is a mediocre year. But you can see his improvement in the year.
and that's last year. That's pitching about, again, six innings a game. So and we talked about that too. The Indians lineup is very inconsistent. I guess we'd probably have to go back to those games and just see how much they scored as well. But I just think that even we've kind of seen both, and I just think it's not so much of have we seen it. I think it's more of the fact of he was a bullpen pitcher with starter potential, and it's the same thing. I think. I mean, I can relate it back to what the Brewers are doing now. They have a lot of guys that have come up the ranks that are bullpen pitcher, that are long relievers, and they can give you starter potential. In this new, in this transformation of a league where we're seeing guys only go 5-6 innings, they can give you that. So we can even say that to Ty's point and to Jorge's point, we can say that there could be a new definition of ace in terms of innings, that a lot of guys are going 5 to 6. But I mean, there's still something to be said for the guys that are giving you 7, 8, 9. So go ahead, Jerm.
I got an interesting number that Dennis is in the comments working these stats for y'all. Shout out to Mr. King. He said, we're in a time now when 200 innings don't happen like it used to. The last year, only 15 starting pitchers with 200 innings, and it's been going down every year. So with that being said, this is why this is such a see, I've been telling y'all we need to talk about this pitcher. This pitcher is so serious because this is real. If we're talking about an ace pitcher just by itself and we're arguing about Clevenger like this, imagine what other pitchers we're going to argue about. This is like gold. But I'm not even rooting for him to be an A+ pitcher. What I'm saying is this is really interesting because it's hard to gauge him because the Indians have had some extraordinary bullpens. Bro, Cody Allen was coming in closing the doors with 2 inning saves. One of those years that Clevenger was the 5th guy. Cody Allen was coming in with 2 inning saves, bro, and the top of the 8th.
Yep,
that's crazy. Like
and just for thanks to Dennis for that. I'm seeing this now. The guys that did pitch over 200 are again guys that were bringing up: Verlander, Bieber, Bauer, Cole, Strasburg, Greinke, Minor, Lynn, Bumgarner, and DeGrom.
And you see, so now we see that these are guys that are consistently winning. These are the guys that are consistently you hand the ball to and you're good to go. So I'm really interested to see how much more we can break down in a production meeting for the next show. We're gonna have to do this some more because this right here is a conversation that deserves a full hour on it just by itself.
Let me
go ahead.
Let me give you a number real quick before we change topic. If a starter gets 32 games started and they pitch 6 innings each game, that's only 192 innings. Just to kind of tell you how they have to pitch to get over 200 innings.
And that year that Clevenger did pitch 200 innings, he pitched 32 games, which means that probably about under 6 1/3, probably, right? That would be just under 6 1/3. So he's closer to 6. But again, 6 innings. But as we said, they've had good bullpens, and the need for him isn't there. And then he also came up as a bullpen pitcher. And it's a transformation in the MLB where not as many pitchers are pitching over 200. So we could say, hey, if we're talking ace, we need 6 out of you. We could. That's why I said when we go around to define this, we could need 6 or more out of you, and we can give a preference to the guys that are pitching more and pitching well more, like DeGrom and Scherzer and Strasburg. And I don't know if I want to hear this, but here you go, Jerm.
Question: how many pitches? Because it used to be the pitch count used to be what 100, 110, right? What's the pitch count now? Is the pitch count because I'm seeing guys getting to 120 pitches. I'm seeing Strasburg do 140 pitches in a complete game. It really depends on the outing. So again, what's the pitch count for some of these guys?
I'll go first. I'll go first on this, and I know Jorge has something to say about this too. But 140, 120 for a complete game, and again, first of all, I think only certain pitchers can give you that. Like a Strasburg, like a Scherzer, like a Verlander, like a Cole. Only certain pitchers can give you that, and that's another thing that we would discuss in terms of ranking who's an ace and who is not, and how do you differentiate from these people. But right now, there's some starters that are being pulled out of games at 85, 90. Yep. People are preserving arms nowadays too. So again, this is a transformation in the major leagues. Less innings, less pitches, obviously, or sometimes you have guys where I actually think baseball is turning into a more strategic game, and is where the pitchers are actually developing better like situations and counts for themselves so they can utilize more pitches, where they're throwing more pitches per inning, and that's why they're getting pulled too, because they're trying to really not give the batter anything to hit and really throw the batter off and make them guess more. You'd rather try to get an out in a 5-pitch count instead of throwing 3 strikes in a row. And I think that a lot of the pitchers are trying to develop a count to where you're at a 2-2, and you've got an option to make 2 mistakes before you walk somebody. And as long as you have good placement on the pitch, and that builds your pitch count too. And I think that's why we're seeing shorter innings. But I see some guys getting, pulled at 85, 90, and they've given up 2 or 3 runs, So that's another thing. I'm gonna go out to Jorge because I know he's got something to say about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Artie. The workhorses can go 120, 130, like you mentioned them. There's a lot of pitchers that won't and really can't. They're gassed at like 100. Now pitch count is 100, man. You hear 100 a lot. Oh, he reached 100. Oh, he's 3 pitches away from 100. You don't really see guys going, like we said, that complete game 120, 130, and it's few and far between. And the guys that do it, it's typically the guys that can come out and do it in every 5th day, and that's just who they are. But
right, and
you don't
Josh
see a lot of newer guys doing that either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Josh has seen this year specifically, and with somebody like Castillo, who's showing you that he could be an ace, and now he's showing you that he may not be an ace. And with the inconsistencies, we have to look for consistency, and I want to kick it out to Josh next on this one, because how do we look at those guys where they give you, do we say, somebody gives you 5 straight good years or 4 straight good years, and then they give you a mediocre year, and you're like, okay, are they not an ace anymore? And Josh has seen some good pitching this year, so I wonder how he'll feel about that with Castillo and Gray.
Well, is that more a question specific to Castillo this year? Because I'm not taking anything too serious this year. It's a weird ass season. There was no preseason. These guys are totally out of their routine. I'll give him a down year.
And again, it's dependent on how also we're gonna have to dive into this really dive into this, because it's dependent on also how your offense is playing. If you're getting wins and losses and stuff, the Grom is a situation, where we'll have to hit on that point. But one more question before we get off of this pitching topic, and we'll get it on there. Just one more thing on the pitching thing. What's a good, and just give me a quick answer, everybody. We're gonna go to Ty first. What's a good strikeout to walk ratio for an ace?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Are we talking about
like,
average, or are we talking about elite?
He said for an ace.
We're talking for an ace, like a strikeout to walk ratio. And not everybody's a strikeout pitcher. Remember that. And Kershaw, he's like 1-1 in the playoffs or something like that. But anyways, go Ty.
I'll say 4-1.
4-1. Jorge?
6-1.
Josh?
I'm going to split the difference. 5.
If you dare say 5, oh my God.
He did it.
All right.
$1, Bob.
Yo, I'm gonna make all of y'all mad, right? I'm gonna say 3-1.
What?
No.
I'm gonna say 3-1
For an ace?
Now, let me explain why. Because I knew y'all was what? I knew it was coming. The reason why I'm saying 3-1 is this reason. Because as Artie said, some pitchers are not strikeout pitchers. So an ace pitcher sometimes in situations, if he gives you on an average between 3-1 to 6-1, like Jorge said, he's an ace pitcher to begin with. You have to give yourself a range here, because everybody's not going to do what the hell Bieber is doing. That's unfair. And also, let me be honest. Some of these pitchers that I step up against the plate against, I'm gonna be honest. You got to throw me a couple pitches before I'm gonna start swinging.
Well, by then it's probably too late. You already struck out.
Bro, DeGrom still got to pitch me two strikes before I tighten up my hands on my bat. I'm just saying, no matter how good he is, I'm still sitting there like this. You know, and it's not. I'm just, but
I can't wait for this pitching show. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yo. I'm sorry I had to do a little bit, but that's. I'm just
Forgot
saying,
what I was gonna say now.
but I'm just saying in general, y'all, it's really hard because as the hitters get better too, some of our primetime young guys that are getting better. Remember, as a hitter, they don't really mature until what 29, 31 in that range, right? So you're still going to have a stretch where you're going to have guys like Miguel Cabrera who are still hitting into their early 40s in their late 30s. Ichiro hit for it seemed like for 20 years. Am I lying? Ichiro
He did hit for
Cruz.
20 years.
That's what I'm saying, dog. It's different. It's hard, and there's gonna be the bats are gonna pick up at some point. So I'm gonna say 3-1 just to try to be fair to the pitchers because they already got a tough job to begin with. But go ahead.
So, go ahead.
Hitters outlive a pitcher, man. Like we were just saying, a pitcher usually their aces is from 20, like we were saying, 28 to 34. But a good hitter, he can come up at age like Soto. He can come up at age 20, 21 and hit until he's 40 easily. And
this is a great combo, man.
That's just what it is. It's you're a hitter, and you know your arm gets tired out. Think about the torque that you're putting on your elbow, on your shoulder. You're not going to be throwing 97, 98 your entire career. Your speed's going to go down, and your location's going to have to go up. And if you don't do that, if you don't balance that out, look at Verlander. Look at what he's turned into. He's still an ace, but he's not throwing as hard. But he's locating his pitches.
And he's got more movement now too.
Exactly.
That's the big key for a guy to maintain an elite level of play at pitcher as he's aging. You got to figure out how to get more movement on those pitches, improve your placement, because like he was saying, your velocity is going to go down. That's just how it works. So if you don't figure out how to get more movement on those pitches, then you're going to get eaten up because these guys are going to be seeing the same pitches they've seen for 12 years or 5, 6, 7 years, but they're coming in slower.
Mm-hmm.
This right here, this is why
it needs to be a show.
This is a show. So I'm letting y'all know now, y'all ain't got no choice. We getting Western home. We may have like 10 people on this show. I ain't even gonna sit here and lie to you. So y'all get ready for that show.
We need to make this a weekend show so we should have people in and out. Let's have a bunch.
We can listen. There's no ends of the possibilities. My good friend, Mr. Category 5. With that being said, we'll go around the horn real quick, get final thoughts. I'm gonna start with Ty, with the beautiful No Beef No Lombardi views from the 22 in the house.
There it is.
Ty, final thoughts on the show today.
I mean, great show, guys. I mean, y'all made me mad. We got to fight. We got to fight about some pitch stuff because there's some things I wanted to throw in there, but that's another scenario. But I like where we were fair. It was hard, but when it came to the rankings, we were fair, and I think we can go toe to toe with anybody with what we did as a group. And I'm looking forward to another good week of baseball. And even though this is a shortened season, I'm just glad, we can still enjoy America's pastime.
Jorge, what you got for me? Final thoughts.
I'm gonna hit on one of the trades, man, and one of the guys that has already paid off for the team that acquired him. How about Marte, man? He went 1 for 2 today, 1 for 4, scored 2 runs, and hit the game untying home run. I don't know, sorry about that, to have them win the game 3-2 against Toronto.
Game winning is how you normally say that, Jorge.
There you go. That.
Category 5, what you got for him?
You know what? I'm going to talk about You know what? I'm going to talk about the Reds. They traded for Archie Bradley
Aw.
yesterday. Hey, man.
I had to get you.
Hey, you know what? I'm excited to see what may be a bright spot in an otherwise dismal bullpen. And hopefully they can figure out how to make Rysel effective in a non-safe situation. Other than that, my final thoughts are I am still mad at the Astros, and I do not like them in our top 10. Artie.
Maybe they'll be there next week too. For me,
Tyrell was
I
right.
know you-
Tyrell was right. That's what your final thought is.
well, besides, you were right about us going toe to toe with any. We could probably go toe to toe with Kershaw in the playoffs too. But you guys know I want to hit on the Kyle Lewis. He's been playing good baseball, and that's what I want to make that my final thought. Just a non-star that doesn't get a lot of attention. 23 hits as of yesterday against non-fastballs. That is amazing. That's more than half of his hits, and he's hitting pretty well when he's behind in the count and when he's ahead of the count. And the man is playing fantastic baseball, and I just wanted to hit on Kyle Lewis and as he's hitting every non-fastball that he's seeing. So Kyle Lewis, shout out, and that's my final thought.
Man, look, this has been another fantastic show. I'm just happy. Look, my final thought for the day is we got a lot of knowledge just around us for this baseball, man. It's a lot of good stuff. When we do this pitching show, we're not gonna do it just a regular show. We're gonna have to do this somewhere else because we got to do this. We got to do this big, y'all, because this show is crazy. But this is such good information. I want everybody, you know what I'm saying, I encourage y'all to share the video, like the YouTube page, like the Facebook page of the scene. Man, look, we have so much content to give y'all. It's not even funny. This group right here, they always post some of the craziest production meetings because they are the pettiest group probably out of the bunch. I don't know what's wrong with them, but we get Ty every day. Like, he got a lot of boneless wing energy in his system. We got to get out of it.
Drive through Ty. Drive through Ty, please.
Drive through Ty.
Start calling him Ty through.
Yo, Ty through.
That's
Ty
it.
through.
Y'all some real wise guys. I love y'all. Y'all some real wise guys.
So with that being said, THESCEN, the scene. Make sure y'all check it out. Also check it out. All of the rest of our other platforms, 94 Feet of Light, Views from the 22, Stoppage Time FC. We also have Fight Threads, which we're still gonna get a new name for that. And we got Artie is a runner, so he got a run group as well. What's the name of the run group again, Artie? I'm sorry.
Petty Run Club, I think.
Petty Run Club. See,
PRC.
These folks is petty while they running. I don't understand how that works. I don't get it.
I do dance. I do dance a little bit while I jog. So
too much. But with that being said, this is another Scene Dish collaboration. We got Josh Storms, we got Artie, we got my guy Jorge, and we got my guy Ty. Germ So True signing off. We out, y'all.